Hey everyone, welcome back. Hope you're having a fantastic day so far. So over the past couple of years, Donald Trump has pledged to save Social Security and not to cut a single penny from it. However, what options does that leave Trump with if he does win the presidential election coming up in November? We're going to be going over his options, but before we go ahead and dive into the main content of today's video, if you wouldn't mind helping out real quickly by just giving this video a like, that just helps out with the good old YouTube algorithm, and also consider subscribing to my channel if you have not already. Plus, if you would like to receive up to $200 in free stock or $200 in free cash, in a pinned comment below, I will be leaving a link to Robinhood. All you have to do is once you click on that link is just sign up for a free account and then simply link your bank account. You do not even have to make an opening deposit. At that point in time, Robinhood will be sending you one free stock worth all the way up to $200. And if you'd rather just have the cash, all you have to do is once you receive the free stock is just sell it for what it's worth and then transfer the cash value right back to your bank account. Okay, so lately there has been something floating around called Project 2025, and it lays out all these different conservative principles which Democrats are floating online, saying all these things are a terrible idea, and this is why you should pick Biden and vote blue in November, everything like that. So we're going to look into exactly what Project 2025 says about Social Security, because Democrats, of course, are saying that Trump is going to go right along with what it is saying, even though Trump has actually distanced himself from Project 2025, saying he has no idea what's in it, he has no idea who wrote it, and that he does not align himself with those ideas. So according to Newsweek, Project 2025, a conservative blueprint for government, has gained significant traction in recent weeks as the 2024 presidential election looms ever closer. A premiere on what could be in the event that Donald Trump secures the White House in November. Its 920 pages touch on all manners of policies covering a range of government functions and services. But is Social Security in the Project 2025 mandate for leadership, and what would any proposed changes mean for the American people? So despite being over 900 pages long and spanning most of the departments of government, including defense, homeland security, agriculture, education, and energy, the mandate text does not provide direct policy positions on Social Security or its government agency. However, the Heritage Foundation has advocated for raising the retirement age, and the Heritage Foundation has sort of aligned itself with this Project 2025. And in a June blog post, Rachel Gressler, senior research fellow at the Roe Institute, said that the normal eligibility age for collecting Social Security retirement benefits should be raised to 70 to help address the impending funding cliff faced by the Social Security Administration. She said to restore Social Security's intent, policymakers should gradually increase the normal retirement age from 67 to 69 or 70, moving the age up by 1 or 2 months per year, and index it to life expectancy. Once again, that is what she wrote in her blog post. So that's something that's been floated by a lot of Republicans, actually raising the full retirement age. Their argument is that people are living longer, and therefore, because people are living longer, they should also be working a few years longer. Of course, most people are completely against that idea because they think that's unfair, and it would actually, I guess, be a cut in their benefits, because they would be receiving fewer benefits over their lifetime, since they would only be receiving it, they'd be receiving it for 2 years fewer than what they would normally have to be. But that is one of the ideas that is being floated out there to ensure that the trust fund for Social Security stays solvent for a longer period of time. Now, what exactly is Trump's position on Social Security? As we mentioned earlier on, he's already promised not to cut a single penny from Social Security. He wants to save it, he's saying. So according to this article, of course, the last time Trump in writing updated his Social Security stance was back in January of 2023. As part of his Agenda 47 campaign, the former president said that under no circumstances should Republicans vote to cut a single penny from Medicare or Social Security, which of course CNN then points out that Trump isn't exactly leaving himself with too many options to save Social Security. So they say that protecting Social Security is among the top promises that former President Donald Trump and his Republican National Committee say they'll accomplish very quickly if they win control of the White House and Congress in November's election. They said fight for and protect Social Security and Medicare with no cuts, including no changes to the retirement age. However, this promise leaves Trump and the GOP with few options to address the looming shortfalls in both entitlement programs. The solutions floated typically include cutting or slowing the growth of benefits, raising the retirement age, or hiking payroll taxes, either by increasing the rate for everyone or lifting the threshold on income subject to the levy though Republicans have generally been opposed to raising payroll taxes. Congress doesn't have a lot of time left to figure out how to save the beloved programs that combine Social Security trust funds, which help support monthly payments to the elderly. Survivors and people with disabilities are expected to be exhausted in 2035, according to its trustees' annual report. After that, payroll tax revenues and other income sources will only be able to cover 83% of benefits owed. Medicare's Hospital Insurance Trust Fund, known as Medicare Part A, will only be able to pay 89% of scheduled benefits in 2036. And by promising not to cut Social Security benefits or change the retirement age, which many advocates consider a benefit cut, Trump is not leaving himself with any wiggle room, said Andrew Biggs, a senior fellow at the American Enterprise Institute, a right-leaning think tank. So, of course, if we are only able to pay out 83% of the benefits, some people say that we're only going to be able to pay out 74% of the benefits. That's going to be a cut of at least 17% in what you would be receiving in 2035, and all the way up to possibly 26% of a cut of what you would be receiving. So basically, if Trump is not going to be raising the full retirement age, which he is promising, if he's not going to be cutting benefits, which he's also promising, and he's going to do something, that's only going to leave him with a few different options. So, of course, the first option would be to raise the cap on which you pay payroll taxes on. So this year in 2024, you only pay the 6.2 to 12.4% payroll tax, that the money that goes into the trust fund, on the first $186,000 or so dollars you earn each and every year, and then anything above that you are no longer taxed. He could raise that to, let's say, like the first $400,000, or he could make it so everyone has to pay taxes. And something he could also do is make it so you pay 6.2 to 12.4% on the first $186,000 that you earn, and then that could slowly be phased out. So anything above, let's say, like $250,000 per year, you're only paying like 3 to 6% of payroll tax that goes into the trust fund. That way you're not being taxed 12.4% on the tens of millions of dollars that you're earning each and every year. One other thing that he could do is he could raise the payroll tax from 12.4 to, let's say, like 15.4 or 16.4%. That way you're being taxed on more of your wages, which of course would be kind of unfair for people who don't earn as much income. One other thing is he could pay out Social Security using a portion of the federal income tax and possibly take on even more national debt. So right now as a country, we're spending more money than what we're taking in for federal income tax. We of course could just add Social Security to the budget. So instead of paying money from the Social Security Trust Fund, we could just print out more money and send that money out to Social Security beneficiaries, which is something I think they might actually end up doing anyways. A fourth option would be to just bring in more revenues by pretty much changing anything, so they could just have a better economy, they could have more jobs, higher wages. So if we have more jobs in the economy and people are earning more money, then people are going to be paying more taxes that go into the trust fund, which could then, of course, keep the trust fund solvent. And then the fifth option, which I think actually might be the best one, at least in my personal biased opinion, would be to actually invest a portion of the amount in the trust fund in stocks and things like that. It's like the S&P 500. You can pull up this chart right here. Since 1980, you can see the red line is how the Social Security Trust Fund currently is, and it doesn't grow at all just because it's invested in very safe investments that are not going to lose money, like treasuries and bonds. But if we invested in the S&P 500, which is that blue line, even though there was quite a few, like 3 dips in there over time, you can see that it's much higher now than what it is, than what it would be. So basically, the S&P 500 would have grown all the way up to $103,700, whereas the normal Social Security Trust Fund only rose up to $15,600. That would be if $1,000 was invested in the S&P 500 or $1,000 invested in the Social Security Trust Fund from 1980 through 2022. So even though a lot of people are saying, oh, this is extremely risky, why would you put the money in the S&P 500 and risk losing everything? Well, you can look over the last 100 years, and the S&P 500 has done incredibly well. And I could make the argument that if the S&P 500 does lose everything, then we're going to have a lot more to worry about there. And more than likely, the trust fund would be going insolvent anyways, because that would mean the economy was doing incredibly poorly. So I think that's probably one of your best options, even though it might be too late. This would have been something obviously much better to do back in the 1980s, where you can see that the S&P 500 has performed incredibly well. And in the majority of years, it's only, I think, lost in like 3 years out of the past several years. It usually goes up, and once again this year it's up big. So if we had a portion of the Social Security Trust Fund invested in the S&P 500, it would be doing incredibly well. But of course, leave your thoughts and comments below. What do you think the best option for Trump would be to save Social Security and make sure that it does not go insolvent, while at the same time not cutting a single penny from the program? But that's all we have for today's video. I certainly hope you enjoyed and found value out of it. If you did, again, I would greatly appreciate if you could give this video a like. Consider subscribing to my channel if you have not already, and I will see you in the next video.